All right, starting the recording now. Normally we also stream. However, I was having all kinds of buffering issues today. It seems like there's some things going on, which I'll talk about here as soon as we get the show properly going. So normally we show it out on Twitch as well live. That's not working well today for a couple of reasons, and I will simply record this. I will put it up on YouTube, and then it will clean up the audio as needed, and we will put that out as a podcast tomorrow as usual. And I will do some extra announcements and stuff like that, and I already have done some of them. So I'm going to be watching the chat of Twitch during this, just to see if someone does show up, that sees my notices and shows up and has a question or something like that, which it may not happen, but that's fine. Since I'm not actually live, it feels very weird to be watching the chat anyway, but we'll make it work. Okay, so I will, this is where the official audio podcast is going to start, and we'll go in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that's going to find itself floating home. This is episode 480, being recorded on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Chill, and KittyKissz is out today. We'll talk about that right now. So we are also having troubles with the actual stream, so I think a lot of stuff is kind of going on. I've actually been having some troubles with my stream as far as buffering goes, and that may just be all it is tonight. However, Kitty had two different types of tech issues today. He had his power go out twice. The weather's getting really bad here. And also he had internet connection issues as well. So he was having both kinds of issues, and obviously either one of those happens, you can't do a stream. So he's not here tonight regardless. I'm here. I did try to start it up as a regular stream as well. However, like I say, I was getting all kinds of buffering issues, so the data just wasn't getting through to Twitch for whatever reason. This has been happening on my stream occasionally now for a couple of weeks. I'm not sure what else to do about it. I don't think it's on my end as far as I can tell, but I don't know. So anyway, so I'm doing this as a recording. We're going to put it up on YouTube, the video, so there'll at least be some video version of the show as usual, just not the live version, unfortunately. And then we will do the normal cleanup of the audio, and that will go out as an audio podcast tomorrow. So Kitty, like I said, was not able to come because of his tech issues. And actually it's pretty fun anyway, because as you'll see later on, pretty quiet news-wise. The devs had their usual end of year time off, which is, we welcome that for them. We're glad that that they get some nice time off, and it's kind of cool that the whole most of the office gets to get off at the same time, so they know ahead of time when they have time available, but also if it's all good, so that they can all kind of work together that way. I think that's a really good way to do it. But anyway, in any case, it does mean though that the last couple weeks of the year or so, very light news, and we haven't really had much since the beginning of the year either, so this is totally fine, and I do expect that things will start to pick up pretty soon. One of the things that they did mention before they headed out for their break was that they are planning a dev stream for the next story content, and that's going to be in February. We don't know exactly when. I don't believe. I haven't seen a specific date since then, so just sometime in February. But we'll see. We'll find out how that happens. So what have I been doing since the last show? Let's see. So I got Gamera out to Osis. So she is... I'm kind of thinking I want her to be like a PvP character. I haven't really gotten back to PvP, although we're getting towards the end of the PvP season. I don't think I could actually finish the PvP season right now, even if I started right now, because there's only a couple weeks left, 3 weeks left maybe. Anyway, it's not enough to really get all the way through the season, I don't think. But anyway, in any case, got Gamera out to Osis. She's also level 80 now, and I think she's got pretty reasonable gear. Like, she's at 340 for all the regular stuff, and then I think she has a little bit further on the implants, but maybe not. I think she's actually pretty close, because she's actually on the Starforge server, so I don't have any other characters that are competing for the tech points out there. And meanwhile, on Satil Shan, which is my main server, I did get I had the 340 set as of last show for my sort of damage spec, which is the one I use for like doing solo stuff on my two mains, my Empire and my Republic main, and I just switch between them. And then they also have a tank spec, and so I finally get the tank spec up, and that's all set now as well. And speaking of like doing like group stuff, because this is like why have mains, is so that I can like do group stuff with the guild and so on. I did manage to get out to one of the guild runs, which was fun. We did Ravagers, and this is actually on hard mode, not on story mode. And considering that we're pretty casual, that it went really well. I think there was one wipe at one point, and even then it may not have been a full wipe. I think, yeah. Anyway, we did really well. We got through it really quickly, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was also fun to see like the harder version of it, where there's a few extra mechanics and so on. So it was nice. Like, I'm trying to think specifically. Also, I like back when I was doing this a lot, I tended to be the tank, and this time I was damage. So it is also always interesting to see it from another point of view, where you're doing a different role, and so you get to see different things. So there's a little more extra. There were a few extra circles for like the 2 boss fight, and I was chasing. Here comes the boss, and I chased the boss around, and we had to not kill him, and there was lots of had lots of damage going on. It was a lot of fun, and extra stuff in the final fight with like the heat circles going on and all that stuff. It was a really good run. I really and it's kind of reminded me that I need to make sure I do that more often, because it's a heck of a lot of fun to do those sorts of things. And if we're able to do the hard mode on Ravagers, that's a pretty good sign that we can get some other stuff done too. Anyway, so I did over the last few days, I did some more on my Kingpin character, kind of in preparation for Echo, which is a short Marvel series on Disney Plus. It just came out last night, and actually there were 5 episodes. It turned out none of them were longer than about 45 minutes or so, and so I actually was able to watch the whole thing last night. It was pretty easy to watch it all, especially since there's. After the first episode, there's recaps, and every episode has, the credits at the end and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of skip through. And just doing like the regular story, I'd say it's maybe 2.5 hours long, something like that. And I enjoyed it a lot. Interesting character. I did make an Echo character in preparation for the Echo series coming out, because I've been watching the trailers and it seemed really interesting, and I kind of looked into this character that I didn't know a lot about. And so I made a character, and I just started her today, so she's still on Drum Cost, very, very early. I did her as a sentinel in the Warrior story, so Darth Barris is going to be the sort of Kingpin stand-in, where Barris is like, your Sith master, but he's going to screw you over, and that's very much like Kingpin. He kind of becomes this, we already know this, and so it's not even a spoiler. He is sort of like a father figure to Echo, and of course he's screwing her over because he screws everyone over, and then, and there you go. I'll try to avoid any further spoilers. It was fun finding Echo has like an artificial foot, like her leg got cut off, and she's also deaf, but I can't really do the deaf thing in SWTOR. There's not really a good way to do that, so I'm not sure exactly if there's much of anything I can really do as far as that goes, except for maybe when there's occasional options to not say anything, maybe do that as sort of a minor, nod towards that part of her character. But she does have, I did find a cyber, boots, where it's like one regular foot and then one replacement metal foot. And so that works really well for her look. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'm not sure exactly what spec we're going to go with. Right now I'm doing the one that has the short jump in it. I can't remember what it's called on the Sentinel side, but yeah, it's not the one. It's not the one that's just direct damage. It's like the mixed damage one. It's not the dot damage felt a little too like forcey. Like, there's a lot of force abilities for those dots. The The other one, the straight up damage, could have worked, but I like the middle one because the mixed damage one, although it has some dots, it also has the jump and stuff like that. And I felt the jump felt kind of appropriate for her and stuff like that. So we're gonna go with that one, I think, and I can play around with it. I also think I might try Shadow as well, like the backstab spec on the Shadow. In the show, she kind of does a lot of unarmed combat, and when she does use weapons, it's like a lot of different weapons. Some of it's even improvised weapons. So I think you could get away with any kind of different weapon. She even shoots, but you have to, in SWTOR, you have to choose between the force abilities or the tech abilities. So I can't, if I did anything else, if I wanted her to use a gun, then I would have had to choose one of the other class stories. And I did feel like the warrior one was going to fit best for her, with Barriss being the kingpin, essentially. And they're both, big, bald guys who are evil. Pretty cool, pretty accurate. So it's all good. So yeah, we just started her out, though. Haven't really, haven't gotten too far, but it's a lot of fun. And as far as Galactic Seasons go, I got all servers on Galactic Seasons to 100, except for Shea Vizsla, of course, which, because I was on vacation when that opened up, I have no chance of getting to 100 on. But I will get as far as I can. I think I'm somewhere in the 30s, late 30s, early 40s, something like that. I've got a couple weeks left. And when we get to the end, like when we get to the last couple days, I will probably look at potentially using cartel coins to maybe buy another level or two if there's something very, very close to buy. I'm not going to, do it just to get to the end on another server. That doesn't really interest me much. But, if I'm a couple of away from an ultimate pack, I might do that. Or if it's like or if it's like one away from 200 cartel coins or something like that, then it makes sense to do it as well. So we'll see how far we do get. But I am 100 on every other server. So I got to open a bunch of ultimate packs over the last couple of weeks because we, as we got through the 90s, we got that last ultimate pack, and then we also get all the cartel coins, which is great. And also I got to use a lot of the cartel coins, which we'll talk about once we get to the mine trap. But let's go to the tip of the week, and I just have a tip of the week for myself this time. And it's a tip for making characters on other servers for Galactic Seasons purposes. And we've talked about this sort of thing before. So the idea is you just log on. If you log on every day, and if they're below level 50, then you usually have to give gifts and get the influencer, and then you do a few other things like decos, and make sure you do crew skills and stuff like that. And as long as you're doing all that, you'll get 25,000 a day and blah 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 blah. Once you've gotten all on that server, you've gotten over 50, you can start using the reputation items. Reputation items are pretty easy to get with Galactic Seasons Live because all of them so far have had a reputation item that you can then get, and you just pop one a day. You get the blue ones, you get the weakest ones possible, so that you don't cap out, but B, also it lasts more and more days. If you just buy the purple ones, you're using up 20 a day. If you're using the blue ones, you're only using up one of those per day, and you can just stretch it out and out and out and out. Because I don't care when I get to the end of a reputation cap. I only care that I get the reputation gain every day, so that I gain that part of the conquest points. So because of that, it's quite easy to just log on every day, just get your 25,000 conquest points. If you do that and you go a little bit over, then over the course of 7 days, that'll get you to your 200,000. So you'll get at least one weekly no matter what anyway. And beyond that, yes, I do grab a couple of the other weeklies as well, especially ones that are relatively easy to get. Like this week, there's actually the attain 40 dark spores. Well, you can do that just by, if you've gotten far enough on the Galactic Season track, you just grab 40 off the track if you want to. So that one's real dead easy. I always get that one when it comes up. But there's other ones that are relatively easy to get to. So, complete X missions as this type of character, or companion as defeat enemies with a companion as a healer, or as a tank, or as a damage dealer. And interestingly, recently they've done it all three at once. I hadn't seen that before. That was interesting. So anyway, all you have to do is log on every day, and you'll pretty much get there. You'll have to do occasional extra weeklies, but really not that big a deal. It doesn't take that long, and you get a lot of good rewards. I mean, you just get good rewards for being in the game regularly, so it's good. Let's see. So Satil Shan, like I said, or Shea Vizsla rather, because I started late. I won't, I was on vacation and so on. Won't be able to get all the way through it, but we'll get a good way through it. A couple of other tips when you're making these characters to level up on these other, on the other servers. Well, first of all, you have to get a character, and if you're going to do this, you have to start with, you have to get the character up to level 10, which doesn't take very long. It's not even usually the first planet. You're usually done before you get to the end of the first planet. Anyway, you have to get to level 10 so you can get Conquest, because that's kind of the crux of the whole thing. Once you got that, though, it's pretty easy. You just make sure you have gifts and so on, and you're good to go. A couple of other tips, though, when you're making these characters. I suggest making a non-Twi'lek or non-Togruta, not because I don't like those species, but because you're going to be getting a lot of armor sets, and if you want to preview what they are, then you won't be able to preview them most of the time as a Twi'lek or Togruta, except for a few of the goggles and things like that. So just a thought that, if the idea is you're getting these sets on, other servers, and then if you want to use them on your main server, we use the account unlock. And another tip, consider a stealth character so that you can skip past fights if you're trying to get the 10 or 15 missions as a, whatever, trooper or agent or whatever, that sort of thing. That way you can, you can get those missions done faster. You don't have to necessarily do every fight in order to get those 10 or 15 missions or whatever. So there you go. A couple of tips if you're going to do the whole, getting Galactic Seasons on other servers thing that, like I do. And if you have a tip of the week, please send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show for a chance to win a Talonfon, M8 droid, or M2B9 droid, courtesy of Bioware. And we also throw in a 450 CC code as well. That'll bring us to the Mind Trap. And let's see, so the Mind Trap question this week, the SWTOR 50% unlock sale ends on January 9th. When it's done, how much do you think you'll have spent on unlocks? And so we got almost 200 votes, which is pretty good. And the possible answers were 0 to 1,000, 1,001 to 10,000, 10,001 to 20,000, or 20,001 plus. And 0 to 1,000 actually won with 54.2% of the vote. That's not only was I a little surprised that that won, but it also surprised me that that it had over 50% of the vote. Really, like, people aren't using the unlock sale anymore. Well, that's not quite true. We'll see here in a minute, but for a lot of people, it's a pretty minor amount. 1,001 to 10,000 was 38.5% of the vote. Still a pretty good amount of cartel coins being spent that way. 10,001 to 20,000 is 2.6% of the vote, and I voted for that. And 20,001% of the vote was 4.7%. It actually got third, and then 10,001 to 20,000 was actually the lowest at 2.6% of the vote. So of the people who spent a fairly large amount, the 10,000 or 20,000 or more, that was only, 7.3% of the vote. Interesting. Like, not that high. I voted for 10,000 to 20,000. That's what I did. When we were coming up with this question, I had spent about 15,000, and I thought I was basically done. As it turns out, I got some more from the Galactic Season tracks that I hadn't realized. I also I think I also got my monthly subscription cartel coins as well. And I think I might have gone over 20,000, but not by much. And so 10,001 to 20,000 was pretty accurate as far as the expectations were for me. Kitty was sort of in my range. I think he might have ended up going over 20,000, but not by much. I think he said he was like getting close to 20,000 when we were talking about this Mind Trap poll. So I think he was in the 10,001 to 20,000 as well, though he might have bumped over to over 20,000 as well. So interesting, yeah. So thank you for everyone who voted and reposted and all that sort of thing. We do put this out on Twitter, now called X, but if you don't like that, we do do have Mastodon as well. And so, yeah, let's see. And Sparky Treat said, I didn't let myself spend as much this year only because I spent some money on catching up with Galactic Seasons for the Ioth cat. Otherwise, had I not done that, I probably would have spent around 2,400 CC on unlockings. So she would have been in the second category, but she ended up with the first. And let's see. Graham said, I spent a lot, over 10,000. A lot of the coins are spent on mounts and cheap but good-looking armor and weapons. It would be nice if they did 50% off additional character slots and renames. Be interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure about I think I might have seen a sale on renames at one point. I can't remember if I've ever seen a sale on the slots. Maybe once or twice, but if so, it's hardly ever. Let's see. And just a couple of people actually bought some of the sales, because there were sale items as well, but we were really mostly on this question talking about the actual unlocks for accounts. There's a lot of, boxes out there, and I've got tons of them that, I've got tons of things from these boxes from Galactic Seasons, especially since I'm doing it on multiple servers. And because of that, I do end up trying to save up my cartel coins and then using them during these 50% off unlock sales. So personally, what I did is I tried to get as many tunings as I could. I unlocked the ones that I had gotten just, randomly, but I also tried to buy one, or I think I bought one of the ones that were on sale, and I was looking for other ones, although I didn't quite get to a price point that I really liked. So I was trying to get all the tunings I could. Mounts as well. Like I tried to unlock a bunch of the mounts. I purposefully went onto the to the GTN and bought emotes so that I could get more of those. And I actually did. That was right towards the end though, and I didn't have a lot of things. So even though emotes actually are fairly cheap to unlock for your account, and 50% off, they're usually about 30 cartel coins, but I had burned down so many cartel coins that I ended up with emotes that I got to unlock on the one character that I bought them on the GTN, and then I won't have them unlocked right now because I just don't have the cartel coins to do it. And now the sale's done, so even if I want to unlock it, it'll be twice as expensive. But I did try to get as many more emotes as possible. I think Kitty, as far as I know, already has all the emotes unlocked. I did try to get some armors unlocked. I got some weapons, a fair number of weapons unlocked as well. I think I focused more on the weapons than on the armor, because for me, because I do a lot of cosplay characters, there's a fair number of sets in the game that are very sort of specifically Star Warsy or SWTOR-like, and I'm not likely to use them in my cosplay characters. I'm more likely to use ones that look more like regular clothing. So, like the casual sets and the tuxedo type sets and, stuff like that. So anyway, but yeah, I did kind of go through the whole collections and kind of, toys. I tried to make sure that all the toys that I had unlocked somewhere were unlocked for the whole account. And I got a couple more that way, although toys I've kind of focused on in the past. I also did color crystals. So I had a bunch of color crystals kind of sitting in my main bank's character or her inventory, like the pack, thing. And so I went through all those and I made sure that I had at least one. If I didn't have one of those color unlocked, then I unlocked those as well. And we got a bunch more colors. So I have a bunch more colors that I have unlocked because I don't really care about like what stats they have anymore because I can take care of that with the outfitter. Anyway, so yeah, so I spent a lot of cartel coins that way, but apparently I'm kind of in a minority there. Still, 1,001 to 10,000, that's a lot of cartel coins, and that's almost 40% of the vote going that way. So that's a lot of cartel coins out there that are being spent on the unlock sales. And even the 0 to 1,000, for half of the people is still over the course of the entirety of the player base is quite a few cartel coins as well. So anyway, good stuff. And so that will bring us to the holo feed. There's not a lot of news out there. Like I said, the devs had their vacation. They recently got back, and there just hasn't been a lot going on since then. However, they did put out the events for January. The first one is actually just gone live. It started yesterday, January 9th, when they do the weekly reset. And that's the Relics of the Gree. It's live now. It goes through January 16th. And it's the usual Gree event. I know that our guild usually does try to get out there and kill the Gree-related boss. Or bosses. There's little world bosses as well. But, there's specifically the one inside the instance that you can always get as well. So that one is on right now. And then later in the month, January 23rd through the 30th, then it's Pirate Incursion. That's on Dantooine. All kinds of good, fun stuff out there. And there's some fun. There's a couple of... there's that one achievement that you can get, and then you can get like the glowy thing, the glow effect. We've talked about that on the show as well. That's kind of fun to get as well. So that was actually all the news there was. There really wasn't much going on. I guess during the course of when they were gone, there was a couple of people posting on the forums because there was some issues. Satil Sean had an issue with people logging in, but that got settled probably within like an hour or so, something like that. Not a very long time. I remember actually I was on and I got booted off and I was like, what's going on? Is that me or is that the game? And then I tried to get back in and it's like, oh, okay, it's the game. I couldn't get back in. So I was affected by that, but it really wasn't off all that long, and then it was all fixed. So a couple little minor hiccups like that, but nothing really super newsworthy or anything like that. So in general Star Wars news, there's basically one thing that sort of came out. It's very, very teasy, very early, but it's pretty interesting. So we'll talk about it here. So Jon Favreau, who of course has done a lot of stuff with Mandalorian and so on, is going to direct a movie, and its title is The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, and it's not yet clear where it will fit within the timeline of the Mandalorian Disney Plus series. We've had a couple of seasons of it. There's also been sort of like, related series that sort of have some of the same characters in them, and so we don't know exactly where it fits into that. Is it going to be a retelling of how they met, or is it going to be just further adventures? We don't know any of that stuff. Jon Favreau is producing along with Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni. No real surprises there. Filoni is currently also working on the second season of Ahsoka, which is cool. The date is not given right now on the official Star Wars calendar. There are 3 movies that are sort of like there, like, release dates are there, but no titles, no information. We don't know if it's one of those, or maybe it's going maybe this is a new one entirely. In any case, even the ones that are already on the calendar are in 2026 or even 2027. So yeah, this is very early days, and we're not going to see this movie for a few years. So a couple, 3 years at least. I was not able to confirm if Favreau was going to be also writing the movie. I find it likely that he will at least co-write it, if not completely write it. He was a writer on The Mandalorian. He was a writer on Book of Boba Fett as well. So it would make sense that he would write. It would also make sense if Filoni would write. He also, does a lot of writing within the Star Wars universe right now. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's almost certain that Favreau will have a hand in the story at some point. And Filoni too, because they are producing, and it's just a question of who's actually writing the script. And in some ways, it becomes such a group effort nowadays that, like, maybe it doesn't matter as much as much as I'm acting like it does, because like these movies take tons of effort from all levels to get done, so it'll be fun to see what happens with that. The Mandalorian's a fun series, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. So yeah, is it one of the 2026 ones, or the 2027 movie that's already on the calendar, or is it an entirely new one? Is it going to be all the way out to maybe 2028 even? Who knows? But anyway, yeah, looking forward to that. Mandalorian and Grogu. So anyway, so this is a very weird episode, obviously. No Kitty this time. Also, I was having troubles with the regular the regular stream, so I bagged the regular stream, and I'm just recording this. It will go out on YouTube, and like I say, and then we'll clean it up and do the regular podcast thing. So if you've been listening or watching, thank you very much, and we appreciate it. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Utini Rage Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast or Mastodon @OotiniCast@mastodon.world. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes and the rest. We record the show bi-weekly, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/OotiniCast, normally. And our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And this is normally where I thank the chat room. I just instead would like to thank our listeners in general. We do appreciate you, and thanks for sticking with us, and even with the weird episodes like today. And it is much appreciated. We'll see you next show.